Welcome to Everything Is For You, the podcast where we embrace the belief that every experience shapes us, every challenge strengthens us, and every opportunity is a step towards our personal evolution. It's believing that everything is happening for us, not to us, that the universe always conspires in our favor, even inside our darkest moments. In today's heartfelt episode of Everything Is For You, we reignite Danielle Dailey, life coach extraordinaire and my dear, dear friend, in a soul-stirring exploration of the strength that we can draw from inside of challenges. Let's talk the power of words. How do you speak to yourself? Do you put yourself down? Do you say mean things to yourself? I think at some point in our lives, all of us have. And in this episode, we shine a light on the words that we whisper to ourselves, the silent conversations that echo who we are. And it's like staring into a mirror. Often what stares back are doubts and the critiques that we quietly nurse within. What if we could change that reflection? Danielle joins us with a lantern in hand, ready to reveal how powerful our secret talks can be and how we can turn them from whispers of doubt into dialogues of strength. Danielle will go over some techniques that she uses with clients, tackling their don't wants and shifting their thinking to what their wants are. And of course, if we're going to talk about the power of words, we must talk about I am, the words I am. So together, we're going to unravel what it means to change your story. And we're going to share some actionable tools to do just that. We will talk about narratives that can keep us stuck and how shifting our dialogue can change that experience altogether. So buckle up for an episode packed with insights that are not just thought-provoking, but they're also very practical exercises that we can integrate into our daily lives. All right. I'm so excited to introduce Danielle Dailey. I am so excited to be doing this with you again. Thank you for coming and sharing your expertise with us.
Oh man, it is such a pleasure. And quite honestly, this is a topic that lights my ass on fire in a good way. So I'm super excited to what's going to come through this. I know that you and I are just going to free fall some of this because it's just who we are, what we are, and how we live. So I'm excited to see what comes through this. And I'm excited to give your listeners some practical tools, that they can use on themselves.
I'm very excited as well. The power of words it's such an interesting thing because it's something that unless we start really working with somebody like you, or going to therapy of some kind, it's not something that we really were taught at least our generation wasn't really taught, the power of words. And we grew up talking really shitty to ourselves and created a lot of obstacles for ourselves inside of that. And I know that when I started working with you, it was one of the first things that you started, with me. You started definitely, making sure that how I was talking in here was switching and changing. And that was some of the healing, some of my healing pieces of those years of my first years with you. And I know that during my healing process that I have been with this breakup and the divorce with my ex, I know that there was many of times in my darkest pieces that I was just like really unkind in here. And you helped me, switch those around. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I know it's your first approach pretty much. It's like how to love yourself and how you're using your words is kind of like, it feels like that's kind of your first approach with clients. Is that correct?
It absolutely is. As a matter of fact, if I am even considering working with a client, the first thing that I'll do on our first call is I will literally walk them through a pretty simple but powerful exercise. Because to your point, we were not necessarily raised in a house that explained to us how not only powerful but also damaging that our words can be. And we were mimicking things that we heard from our parents. This isn't to insult anyone's parents. We were all doing the best that we could, but we would hear things, on repeat. And then all of a sudden we take that on, and getting to a place in your own self where you can close your eyes, or you can recognize, while even talking outwardly to friends, to coworkers, to family, certainly the languaging within yourself, if you can get to a point where you have this awareness and you can recognize, oh wow, what I just said to myself or what I just said out loud has really negatively impacted me, or makes me feel terrible, or brings me down, or makes me sad. Pause, and that's where, like you were saying, that most folks are just on autopilot. It can even be simple stuff like Mondays suck. I mean, literally, like something that people will be like, but that's innocent. So it's innocent, but is it? Because if you've got this story running through your head that Mondays suck, it is going to be very challenging for you to have a good Monday. And
Yeah.
so it's I just want people to understand, it's not like I hate myself, I suck, the world's falling apart. Yeah, those things are also, those messaging, is also inside of a lot of folks. But even the simple stuff, the day-to-day stuff, I can't pay any
It
bills,
is the
I'm broke.
simple stuff. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. And I think that's where people, it's like mind blowing. It's like, oh, like I've been saying this almost like a robot, like this habitual thought pattern that I just speak. Like I don't even think before I'm saying, I just say it. And it's literally creating my experience.
Well, that's the thing. It is creating our experience. And so you made a really valid point right there. Like Mondays suck, right? Well, yeah, that simple thing. And people don't catch it. When you start training yourself to speak kindly to yourself and use positive words instead of negative words, that's when you really realize how much difference and change there is in your dialogue, because you never realized it prior to this,
Yeah.
because you just didn't realize it. I mean, I even down to the simple things that you taught me. One of the things was like, instead of saying, hey, don't let me forget, you said, hey, always say, hey,
Yeah.
remind me to get my
Yeah.
keys, remind me to get my jacket. And those positive things, those are the tiny little things that help us change into the positive of all things. I mean, we'll get deeper into, our inside our brain kind of things, but these are the simple words of the day. God, oh, the weekend's so short.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
can't believe that I already have to go back to work on Monday. Totally normal things. But instead of thinking of it like that, being like, wow, I am so glad I got these 2 days off.
Yes.
And yeah, and my week is going to be amazing. Those things, they set your intention up for success. And
That's
even
right.
though we don't necessarily always believe it,
Mhm.
we're our brain doesn't know that we don't believe it, so it changes, you know what I'm saying? It's like, right?
It's pretty fascinating,
Yeah.
how much or how obedient we are to the stories we tell ourselves. Like I'm going to kind of
Yeah.
piggyback on what you just said about, Mondays suck. And then all of a sudden Sunday, at 3 o'clock, you're starting to panic because you're already using so much mind space to think about how much the next day is going to suck, and to your point, well, but that's been my experience. Mondays suck. But of course that's been your experience, because that's the only story that you've told yourself. And our brain, this is what's fascinating to me. And there is so much science now to back it. It's less about just say fun, great things and your life's going to turn into a flower. It's actually being studied and backed up, to show that yes, our minds and our bodies, and some people believe spirit, I do, are all connected. So if we're saying something that's kind of bringing us down, you better believe that you're going to absolutely keep experiencing that. And then your brain scans your outer world to support this thought, right? So Mondays suck. You get up, you stub your toe on the bed. You're like, damn it, see, Mondays suck. Or you get up and went through your alarm. Now you're running late. Now you can't find parking. Now you don't know where your keys are. Now yeah, well, this is all because our brain is absolutely designed to scan the outer world to support what we're telling ourselves. So it's like, okay, if you don't want, if you'd like to try something different on a Monday, yeah, maybe skip it around. You know what? Even though Mondays haven't been my favorite day of the week in the past, I'm certainly open, or I'm willing to have a better Monday this week. How about that?
It feels better.
Yeah. You don't even
You
have to
know,
like. Yeah, like
Yeah. It's funny because even in one of my meditations with Kenneth
yeah,
Soares. I love him on
amazing.
Insight Time. Yeah, Insight Timer has been my dear friend for many years. But he always, before his meditations, and his meditations are kind of like, you can be on a walk and kind of like get into like
Mhm.
the groove of it, because it's kind of like repetition and affirmations kind of. But he's always like, now put a smile on your face and just
Yeah,
smile really big, because even if you're feeling, and I do this a lot, like if I'm
yeah,
not like feeling the happiest or feeling a little down, I will be on my walk and I will just smile, and I'll
yes,
smile for a whole block, because that is triggering your brain,
that's
and
right.
it's tricking your brain to feel happy, because your brain doesn't know. And so that smile on your face
Yeah.
is completely changing your, I guess, DNA at the moment. I don't
Your
know a better word
chemicals.
for it.
It's
Yeah, your
release
chemicals.
release it's
Yeah.
releasing serotonin and endorphins when we smile. That's why when people scroll little kid, like little animals or little kids that are dancing and cute, we're like, "Ah," we're just like smiling as we're like, scrolling through a feed. Your body is actually producing this beautiful chemical that feels good. So we want more. That's why we also become addicted to that kind of stuff, because we want more of it.
Yeah.
So you're right. Putting a smile on, again, and we can dive deeper into this. We're not suggesting if you are like flat out on the floor and you're having a really rough go of it, that we're like, hey, just put a smile on and you'll feel better. We're just right now kind of talking about just these little micro moments through the day where, yeah, maybe we didn't find the parking spot and we're kind of circling a parking lot. It's like, do you want to stay pissed off and really feed into that? Or you just want to go, screw it, man. I'm going to find another parking spot somewhere else and almost laugh at yourself. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel better.
Absolutely. That's a good point, because I remember, and I think you might have taught me this, most likely because you've taught me most of my stuff. Um, but I remember, because my old jobs were running big productions, and I was the
Yes.
boss on large productions and very high stress, live events, all of those kind of things. So there was moments of frustration of something going wrong, and I remember always telling my staff and my crew, if I was getting frustrated, I would just say, hey, you guys, I'm not going to live here long, just give
Yes.
me a second. I'm
Yes.
not going to live here long. And I would have my moment of whatever I needed to do, and then I would let it go and I would
Yes.
move on like nothing happened. and
Yep.
and but letting them know that I'm not, like, let me have my fit for a second,
Yep.
and I'm not
Yep.
going to live here long. It is not you guys, it's not personal, just let it be. It was such a magical thing for my staff and my crew, and everybody kind of started using that. And also, it is really important to move on quickly from those frustrations and not let them hold, like, did not let it ruin your day. Let it,
Right.
like, own it for a minute, move
Yep.
on, and then let's get to the positive again.
Well, you just gave such a great example of knowing the power of your words. Think about it. It's like you knew you were feeling frustrated. You knew you were getting some big feels. Maybe you had a stomach ache. Maybe your head starts to hurt. Maybe you're just tense, your shoulders, whatever it is. We know when we're stressing ourselves out. We know
Yeah.
this, and kind of taking a moment. I do remember teaching you that, because if you are an intense person, or you are somebody that have people working with you, or you have a big family, or just one person in the house, and you're feeling some big feelings, the other folks are going to start picking up on that. They're going to pick up on the words you're using in that moment. So you coming and saying, hey, I recognize that I'm going down a rabbit hole right now. I'm going to give myself permission to feel what I need to feel for a minute. This is not going to continue and bleed into all of you. I'm just going to let myself process it, and then I'm going to let it go or release it, and move
Hmm.
on. And so, again, the power of our words. You used your words to say that and share that. And that gives the people around you relief. It's like, oh, okay. So, she's not pissed off all day, or, she's just give her a moment. She processes and moves through it. I love
Yeah.
that.
And I use it in my personal life too. You know, you go
Yeah.
camping and the tent isn't getting set up the way you thought it was, and you're really frustrated because you're hungry and you haven't eaten, and you know, all of those things. And you know, I always would just be like, hey, I'm not going to live here long. Let me be a baby, and then we'll move on. And it's great and it works, you know.
Yeah.
It gives
Okay.
yourself permission to feel the shitty frustration that we all have and feel,
That's
and
right.
then, you know, move on and let's have a sandwich.
That's right. But that's good. You were communicating that. You were
Yeah.
talking to yourself, right? So let's play out another scenario where a lot of folks do. They feel this frustration and they're nailing themselves. Oh, this sucks. I can't stand this. This day, this is too much. They're asking too much of me. This is bullshit. I can't get my work done. I'm being pulled in 20 different directions. That's an alternative. A lot of people do that. That's using your words to absolutely nail you, and then create ulcers. I mean, migraines, colds. I mean, it drops our immune system when we're like high stressed and we keep it going. But I love what you're sharing is, hey, I feel stressed because I'm human. I'm aware of it. I'm not nailing myself. I'm not beating myself up. I'm not making myself worse. I'm sharing with my words to the people outside of me, and I'm able to process it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, I'm obsessed and wildly fascinated with words.
Yeah. I mean, they're powerful. They're
They're
really
everything.
powerful. Yeah, they are. I mean, they definitely shape your, you know, it's your intention of the day is and it's like what they say, manifest, you know, when you're manifesting something, what is that? It's the power of your words and the belief that you have in that, the intention behind it, the feeling that it creates for you to be able to, you know, actually manifest it and get it out.
Bingo, right? Our words, especially words that we repeat over and over again, become our belief. Our
Mhm.
belief and our beliefs become our experience, our reality, right? It's like if someone comes to me and says, "Oh my gosh, all men suck," or I'm destined to be alone. I'm never gonna find somebody, right? That's common, and it's like, okay, how does that make you feel when you're saying that? Maybe we can even do the don't wants for your listeners right now, if that feels good for
Oh
you.
yeah,
This could,
yeah.
this could be a good little segue into this because then we have a few little examples that we can throw out there that are kind of more on the common side. So hopefully someone can go, oh shoot, I say that.
Mhm.
Oh, and I do feel like
Mhm.
that when I say it over and over again. You know what I mean? So if you want to, we could.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I will just jot some down on my little calendar up here. But
Okay.
to any of the listeners, totally, feel free to create your own little list like this. Feel free to, copy exactly if you're like, oh my gosh, I always say that, and what we write down or what we say ends up resonating with you, use it, But
Mhm.
again, this is what I always before I even like green light working with a client because I always say, let's do a first call just to kind of get to know one another, make sure that we're a good fit. But I always walk them through this. I did it with you as well.
Yeah.
So, and then this is like,
I mean, are you going to just make up things, or do you want to like maybe ask me with the business, or what, how do you want to do it?
we can do actually a little of both. All right. So I don't want to be alone or I don't want to feel alone. Right. So think about that for a second. If that is something that you are finding yourself say often, right? That will start to take a toll on you. Just even saying it 4 or 5 times. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to feel lonely. I don't want to feel alone. I don't want to feel lonely. It's like, woo,
Yeah.
and again, that's that autopilot. Some folks, man, that is just, and they take it even further. They go out with friends. Oh, I'm so like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, or I'm never gonna find anybody. Nobody's ever gonna like. I'm never gonna find my soulmate. I'm never gonna find the person that's really gonna love me so much. Yeah. So yeah.
I appreciate that you just said all that because that's really how it comes. There's all this story, and then I'll say, so what's the underlying message? And the underlying message is, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to feel alone. Okay. So jot that down on a piece of paper. So we're going to do a couple columns here, right? So on the far left side, we're going to say don't want or don't want to feel, right? So our first one, common one, I don't want to feel alone. Okay. What do you want? Most people don't actually operate in a what do I want or how do I want to feel? It is dialed into us, man. Like, don't want, don't want. So it's interesting when I'll say, well, what do you want? People are like, it's like, yeah, that's how often you thought about that. So what do you
Yeah.
want?
Isn't that
Right?
crazy? It's
It,
really, yeah, it's hard to say because I remember when you did it to me, it was hard for me to be like, well, I want to feel respected. I want to feel, all of those things. I remember us going through this on different occasions with different
mhm.
things. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and honestly, you may not even gotten that far, which again, most folks don't. They're sort of dumbfounded, like, well, I don't know. It's like, okay, well, how are we supposed to create what you are actually wanting if all you're doing is repeating, I don't want to be alone, I don't want to be lonely, I'm never going to find my soulmate, there's no one's out there for me, it's never going to happen to me, all my friends are getting married but not me, why? It's like that victim-y place. I'm not, again, this is no judging. I was the queen of living in victimhood before I understood all this stuff, so I get it. So okay,
Yeah.
you don't want to be alone. What do you want? It's here's the crazy thing. It's usually the exact opposite. It's the opposite. What you do
Right.
want is you want to be in a loving relationship. You want to find your person. You want to, meet somebody that really like gives you those good feels. You want to have your person. That's the real truth,
But
right?
what's really interesting about
Tell me.
this and this
Yeah,
really this real truth is the work that you do with everybody, your clients, including myself, that starts with these pieces, your don't wants to your wants. They start teaching us how to actually be ready for we're calling in that person now
that's
because
right.
we have to mirror the person that because the person that you're going to fall in love with and that is your soulmate and that you get, they have to be at you guys have to be equal levels. You're
That's
going to
right.
teach each other to grow, and each other are going to, you're definitely going to reflect. And it's not like maybe one is a little bit more evolved than the other, and that's fine. But you're gonna be, you gotta get on that page. Otherwise, you
True.
stayed with that negative. The universe isn't gonna let you find that person.
Or if
You
they
know?
do, they're not going to be the kind of quality person that you really
Yeah,
were wanting.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And
yeah,
we've all done that too.
yeah.
And you're right. It's because it's a reflection of how we feel inside. If you are
Hmm.
saying, basically, I don't deserve a good partner, I'm always going to be alone, I'm never going to find somebody, you're more than likely going to attract somebody that's also mirroring such a heavy, if you do end up
Yeah,
meeting
yeah.
somebody. And it's
If
going
you
to
do,
if you
yeah.
do, and then there's this combustible, relationship, and all of a sudden you're like, what the hell? Like, no. And then you get a little freaked out and turtle in a little bit and go, no, 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 no. I can't, my person's not out there,
Yeah, it's all
so
the way down to like how you like. Oh, well, when I lose weight, then the like somebody will like me. Whatever it is, their goals are. Let's say because everybody has goals. Everybody is like a work in progress. But you know what? You will find the person that you are supposed to be with when you get to the space of actually being kind to yourself and
that's
changing
right.
your dialogue.
That's
It
right.
doesn't matter if you still have weight on you that you want to get off because that person will love you regardless.
Really what you're defining is learning to love yourself and really get into this healthy relationship with your own self first leads you to a partner that's going to be healthier and it's going to be more sustainable and just a better growing growth relationship together. You know what I mean? And so, and off track for just a second, when people ask me, well, how do you love yourself? How do you get to that point? Like,
Mm.
and it's like through your power of your words, through really, really hearing what you're saying, because with that awareness, now you're going to be able to go, oh, I just said something that was really rude to myself or hurtful to myself. That's not cool. You know what I mean? And catching it, again, not to beat yourself up, but to just go, okay,
To catch it, to catch
what
it.
exactly, getting that awareness. So
I
going back
also,
to,
I just want to say something really quick because I'm a little sensitive to, I just, for the listeners, because I said about weight and this body shaming thing is really big on the internet. And I'm a believer of how any woman is beautiful and any man is beautiful. Any
that's right.
person, any day,
That's right.
any person is beautiful exactly how they are. Now,
That's right.
and I wanted, and we'll go into your next thing, but it's so important that wherever we are in that moment, even if like for me, I'm a bigger girl, and even if I like have a goal to lose 30 pounds, let's say, that's fine. That's for health and that is for different reasons. But I love myself right now exactly how I am, curves and all. And
Yes.
whoever is going to be my next person is going to love me just like that. And
That's,
if I change this, it's for me. And it's for
that's
health and it's for other
beautiful.
reasons. But I'm not going to live in when I get to that. I'm going to live now and I'm going to own it and I'm going to feel sexy and beautiful. So I wanted to put that out there because I think it's really important for anybody at any moment in their life to truly love their now.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And even if that feels tough, even if that feels like I could never, again, that's listen to the words that you're saying right now. If you're feeling resistant to anything Kristen just said, if you're feeling like, oh gosh, could I love myself right now? And then you're like, oh, or whatever it is for you, that's resistance. There's a disconnect with yourself. That's that languaging. Okay, how could I say something that's a little kinder to myself right now when I just felt my body retract or I felt myself tighten up when the idea of loving myself before or even liking myself before I've gotten to some goal that I set. It's like to get to that goal, freaking hold your hand the whole way through. I've often shared with clients like, hey, when you're feeling down, imagine yourself, okay? Like something's happened and you're feeling whether you've screwed up, someone, something outside of you did something to hurt you, or, you've done all this like self growth work and all this stuff, and all of a sudden you feel like you slid backwards, whatever it is for you. Imagine yourself walking up to yourself. Okay, so visualize here. You're on the floor, you're having a rough moment. Walk over to you. Do you want to put your hand out for yourself and lift you back up? Or do you want to put your foot on your chest and keep you down? Because you have a choice. Again, with words, think about it. So you're having a rough moment. You've stuck your foot in your mouth. You lost. You didn't get a job that you were really hoping for. It didn't happen. Now you've got those old messaging. You suck. You're never going to get a good job. Blah 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 blah. The guy that you thought was your guy or the woman that you thought was your woman. Now they're ghosting you, and you're like, oh, see, I'm always going to be alone. I'm never going to find my person. Catch that. Walk over to you when you're having this kind of moment and put your hand out and bring yourself back, because so often it's like, man, that's when the boxing, that's when the gloves come out and you start pounding on yourself. It's like, no, 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 no,
Well, and the more the exercises that you're going to show or that you're showing right now, the more that that people do this, the more that those kind of messaging isn't going to, hit you. Like if I didn't get a job, it would be because that wasn't right for me. And the
That's right.
universe, there was something else for me,
That's
and
right.
that there's, and so but I've been training to
That's right.
think this way. I put in a lot of work to get to where I am constantly, I still definitely go dark and I still definitely challenge my brain, but I would say 80 to 90%, even maybe higher, I am a positive thinker and I don't beat myself up the way I used to by far,
That's
you
right.
know.
And I'm not sure it's ever, the goal is to ever get to 100%.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer that we're on this planet as earthlings, to kind of experience what it's like to be on Earth and be a human. I know we kind of touched on that,
Yeah.
briefly on the first call, but it's like, it's like it, but to your point, you're not living there. Like you're able to tell your workers around, hey, I'm having a moment, because you're recognizing the messaging that you're saying to yourself or that's happening around you. And you're able to, oh, I see what I'm doing, and then you're catching it. Again, it's that practice. You said you put in a lot of hours, a lot of hard, a lot of hours into this, but we're putting just as many hours the other way. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like when people come to me and go, oh, but I don't have time to do all this, but you're doing it. You're just doing it from the other end.
Yeah.
You're literally, that's all we do is think and
Mhm.
talk. What is it, like 40,000 thoughts we have a day?
Oh, I think, I mean, that could be it. I thought it would even be more.
It could be more.
Yeah.
That isn't
Yeah.
like, think about that. There's so many rogue thoughts that we're having, so when someone's like, I don't have time to do all this stuff. Well, you're actually doing it anyway. You're just
Yeah.
coming from the negatives. You're coming from the don't wants. You're coming from the can'ts, the won'ts, the shoulds,
I think that, what's really awesome about when you start this work, you can't stop. You get, because your life starts to open up and
Yeah.
you see such beautiful changes. I mean,
Yeah.
I am just constantly consuming self help, like,
Self-growth, self
and
self-growth. Yeah.
self
Yeah.
growth, self
Yeah.
growth. I mean,
Yeah.
no matter, I mean, all different niches and genres of it. I'm just like, ooh, okay. Please continue on this exercise. I think it's a great exercise for people.
Cool. Yeah, we'll just do a few. I think people will get the gist of it,
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure you've got some kind of, where people can reach out and communicate with you. And if anyone, is listening to this and they're like, oh man, I'd like to know a little bit more about that, just send Kristen a message, and we can work it
Yeah,
out.
I'll put this information in the show notes, and I'll put your email again in the show notes. Yeah,
Sharon.
and for everybody else, there's everything is for you podcast at gmail.com. Everything
Right.
is for you podcast at gmail.com. That is where you can email us with questions, with comments, and we will absolutely get back to you. This podcast is about building community, building,
Yes.
building a community of people that are really into self growth and healing and community support.
I
That's what we're
love it.
building here. Yeah.
I love it. And having fun
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this podcast is such a healing piece for me. It's like,
Yeah.
this is only our third one right now, and it's just such a beautiful, it feels good, and so that's why I want to keep doing it.
I love it. And you're doing a great job. So thank you for
Well,
showing up
thank
and
you.
doing it. Um, so, okay. So I don't want to be alone, or I don't want to feel lonely. I do want, a healthy, loving relationship. And so just shifting from that, say that 5 times, I want a healthy relationship. I want a healthy, loving relationship. I want a loving relationship. I want to be with somebody that's loving, you know, immediately you'll start to feel a difference in your body, in your system. I don't know how to explain it. You just have to try this exercise, because every single person I have done this, and I probably have worked with 500-600 people, it literally, they're like, I feel better. And all
Yeah.
we did was change our words, nothing outside of it. We just took a piece of paper and we wrote the list of don't want or don't want to feel, turned it into what we do want or how we do want to feel, and then we'll move it over to the next column. Okay. But even if you just stuck with the middle column here and just
Right.
said, you know what, I'm just going to focus on what I do want, game changer. Game
Yeah. So
changer.
what's the third column?
So you said when you were doing the introduction to this, the I ams, right?
Yeah.
So
Right, because
I
it takes it from the want to the I am to I'm in the
think about
process
it.
of whatever.
I
Yeah.
am
Mhm.
ready for, I am
Yes.
ready for a healthy, loving relationship. I mean, isn't that more your truth? If you're out there and you're swiping or you're meeting people, isn't that really your real truth, is that you're ready? Like, I am ready to be in a relationship, a loving, healthy relationship, because that's more in alignment with your reality, but we get so
Yeah.
stuck over here. So we just keep this rat wheel going. Don't want,
Yeah,
don't want, don't want.
so I think that's really important. I think that's great. I think so you're saying like, okay, I you know, I don't want to feel lonely. I don't want to feel, that somebody won't love me. I want to feel loved, and I want to feel I will find my soulmate. To I am ready for my soulmate. But I think it's important to remember to for this is that the want, it's important to change the want into I am, or in the process of, because otherwise we're staying in the want.
Exactly. Exactly. But I will often say to clients or potential clients, if the I am feels too big for you, because sometimes it is too big. Sometimes they're like, I have so much resistance around that. I don't believe it. I never think that's going to really happen to me. Cool. I respect that. We'll work towards the I am column. But if you can at least make a
I got
promise
you.
to yourself that you're going to at least start with, I want to be in a healthy, loving relationship, even if you say someday, if that feels a little, something, we're meeting people where they're at with their truth, right? It's like, you've heard me say, and I think I said it, on the last one too. It's like, this isn't about like, hey, my life sucks. And then you come to me and I go, your life is awesome. Yeah. It's like, no one's going to ever come back to me. They're going to be like, dude, this chick doesn't get it. It's like I'm listening to people and I'm meeting them where they're at, and then introducing what feels comfortable with them, but we're always moving forward. Next thing you know, they're busting out their I ams, man. And it's just how it is. They're like,
Well,
I
and
am.
yeah, and it's interesting because even with me, when I first started with you, we started the mirror work, we started the self-love work. The words were huge. And I had a lot of resistance to several steps just because I was trained my whole way. But as soon as I let go of that resistance, and I really dove into what it was, it just, my whole world just completely opened up. I started making way more money. I got
Yeah.
promotion after promotion. I fell in love with one of my soulmates, even though
Yeah.
we're divorced now. It doesn't matter. We're still have a love affair that I would never take back for any reason. And the healing and the heartbreak, oh my God, all of that is just so important.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think so. My point with that is resistance, because there is, and I'm a perfect example of resistance. um and now I've been doing this so long with you, and with, on my own, that if I have resistance, because it's very in my DNA from all those years, right? But now I see myself, as soon as I start resisting, I go, wait a second.
Yeah.
What are you resisting? What are you doing? Why are you pushing back? Open up your eyes, open up your mind, open up your heart,
There you go.
and look at what you're resisting. I mean, this, to this day, even when I'm doing something creative within my business, and that the other person that I'm working with creatively says something else, and I am resistant because I'm into my thing, I go, wait a second. And usually I would say 99.9% of the time, that resistance, as soon as I open up my heart and I really hear and listen, what that was coming at me was absolutely right and felt wonderful. And it was such a wonderful thing. And even if it doesn't, opening up my heart and actually hearing and being calm and listening,
Yeah.
that changes the resistance, no matter whether the other side was correct or it connected or not. Just that open heartness of being open hearted changed everything of that particular, situation.
Well, what you just described on is exactly what we're talking about on this call,
Yeah.
right? Like you are very aware of your words, right? Like you were feeling things, you felt the resistance, but the resistance came after you were already telling yourself a story that created the resistance, right? Like whether it's like, this is mine and this is not how I want it, or whatever it is. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was your words, it was your verbiage, it was your languaging that you were story that you were telling yourself in that moment. And through the years of really recognizing that, you're able to hold on a second, hold on, let me think about this, and kind of take ownership of the resistance instead of finding, reasons why, to justify your resistance. You're like, hold on a second, and that's elevated, right?
Yeah.
You have been putting in so much to the relationship with yourself on every avenue, which, by the way, every relationship is going to flourish when all the areas are tick boxed. You know what I mean? It's like, so I commend you. And I know that can be challenging because I think the resistance is our ego going, hold on, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and you said
Oh,
it, you
that
said my heart
son of a
center.
bitch, the ego. That son of a bitch.
I love mine. I think it's so cute.
I know.
I have such a fiery side.
I'm starting, like I'm definitely this heartache break divorce has definitely reared my ego head to learn what I'm really dealing with on so many levels was my ego. You know what I mean? And yeah, anyway, but changing your story is something that I've been doing for a long time, but I've been doing it at a very heightened level through the heartache, through the breakup, through the divorce. I mean, to the point of walking my dog and doing some my time, my space, to where I'm like feeling this stuff, and I will come home and I'll be like, I am changing that fucking story. I am not going to have that story today, and I will get in my journal and I'll be like, this is what I was feeling. And guess what? Nope. This is my story of the day. And I will write down exactly how I want my day to be and what I'm going to accomplish and why. And I'm like, and now that is my story.
Yes.
So you can change it at any moment of anything, because literally this gets into I just listened to this really interesting this thing on the present, the now, and how important that now is. And it's like this vast space between the past and the future, which doesn't even exist anymore. So living in our present moment, in our now, and you're feeling something, you have the power and the ability at any moment in you right now to change whatever it is. So it's up to you. And I know that you have some great wisdom to share about this, so I will shut up for a minute.
No, please. I love what you're saying. And, to kind of go off of that, um, when we're thinking future thoughts and we're scaring ourselves, we're literally using our imagination, something that has yet to have happened. We're using our imagination to scare ourselves. And it's always going to be with the words that we're telling ourselves. Like, oh my gosh, I'll give a real life example of something for me. I have a story that I just recently am chopping it up and chopping it down. So I have this running story, or have had this running story, that I don't like dentists. I don't, on every level, I don't like the sounds. I don't like the big lights in my face. I don't like someone in my face. I don't like opening my mouth for so long. I don't like the fear of the pain that's about to come around every little, and the truth is, I have a lot of dental stuff I need to get done. Like, I have to. It's not even like optional. It's not for vanity. I have to get some stuff done. So I'm sharing this because I feel like it's so relevant, right? If I stay with the story that I do not like the dentist, even though I have a whole bunch of reasons why I don't, a whole bunch of experiences on why I don't, if I keep that story going, I am going to not only stress the hell out of myself beyond, I am going to compromise my immune system through this stress. I'm going to lose headspace because I'm so focused on how much I don't like, right? There's my don't like. I don't like the dentist, that I am creating this whole awful experience. So with the help of nitrous, with the help of my AirPods. I'm letting that story go. I'm not saying I love the dentist. Are you going to find me just casually throwing some dental appointments on my calendar? Absolutely not. But what I am doing is I'm changing this story that is scaring the crap out of me. I'm walking over to myself and I'm putting my hand up and saying, let me grab you, baby. Let me take care of you. How am I going to feel when I'm done with all this dentistry stuff? I'm going to feel great. I'm going to feel relieved. I'm going to feel proud of myself. I'm going to feel like I want to smile 24 hours a day because damn, I went through a lot to get this. So I'm using that to really help guide me through these dental experiences. And I'm glad that I brought that up because that's another one to put on the list. There's a lot of people that do not like the dentist. They don't.
I'm one.
Exactly.
We've talked about it.
It, man.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm shifting.
It's changing. Yeah. It's changing your story about that experience. And that's a perfect example because it is the power of words that we tell ourselves in our head. And because we're in our head all day long, we're in our head. And you know, what's really funny that I've been doing through this breakup, because, at the beginning, I was just so dark with things, but, as I've been healing, I'll catch myself doing something and I'll be like, and I'll even like start laughing because I'll be like, no, girl, you ain't going there. And I'll switch it around real quick, or if I start getting stressed or worried about something because I'm in the process of building a new business. And there's a lot of things that come with that. And I'll start going, nope. And that my new, I told you this on the last podcast, but it's like, I got this. Yeah. I got this. And I just tell myself I got this over and over. And I don't let myself, to the best of my ability, worry about what I can't change. I just focus on the now and what I can do in these moments to move forward.
You just did another don't want. You just did another, I don't want to focus on this. So you just did the don't want, do want, I am, basically in real time without a piece of paper. And that's actually what happens. Right. Even if I'm speaking and I hear myself say, oh, I don't like, I'll catch it and I'll go, but let me share what I do want, or let me share what I do.
What I am doing.
Exactly. I want to make sure that like the listeners get that too. It's like, again, we're human. We're not a robot. I'm not an AI. It's like I am still a student in this beautiful universe, and you said 80-90%, you've got this nailed. That's great. That's high, that's commendable. I may be right around there too, but when I hear myself, I don't beat myself up for saying it. I recognize it and then I follow it up with what I do want. Like I don't like the dentist, but I do want healthy teeth. I do want to focus on, when it's done and over with, Yeah. So do you want to do one more common don't want, or are you ready to move through? Do you think we've got it? We did the don't want with the dentist. We did the don't want with you right now. And then we did the don't want to be alone.
Yeah. And I think that what we've explained it well. I think the important thing is you write down what you don't want, you say what you do want, and then when you're ready, you change it to I am. And so I am ready for love, I want to hit, 15 people by the end of such and such month, let's just say. No, you don't want to, you're in the process of.
That's right.
You don't want to stay in the want. You're in the process of achieving your goals. I don't want to achieve my goals. I'm in the process of achieving my goals. And that changes everything because the universe hears I want. So they're going to keep you at I want. But when you're in the process and I am rich, I am wealthy, I am abundant, I am perfect health. Those are things. I wake up every morning and I say, I matter, I am worthy, I'm significant, I'm lovable, and I am perfect health. I'm abundant and prosperous. Those are the things before I look at my phone, before I do anything, I say those things to myself. And then I say how grateful I am to wake up today, for every breath that I get on this planet. And I send my gratitude, and then I get up and I start my day. And that has changed a lot for me as well through this healing process, you know.
Wow. Thank you for sharing such a huge part of your words and the importance of your words. We're on the same path. I don't pick my phone up straight away at all. I give that precious time to myself. What you're doing is you're setting an intention. You're getting your mind in a place that feels good for you. And you're doing all that with your words and your, the word choices that you're using in that moment. And that is amazing. I have a running mantra that, many running mantras, but to kind of also, share what I say, is I am love, I am light, I am filled with gratitude. With every breath I take, I am filled with love and light. I'm so grateful for the friends and family, and I'm grateful for this experience, and even when you're driving, it's like
Mm.
people are like, who has time to do all that? Well, you're thinking anyway. You're literally thinking
Yeah.
anyway while you're in your car. You're checking phones, you're listening to stuff, you're being like what's it, sidetracked, and it's like if
Yeah.
you can just kind of come back and get into that beautiful healthy habit of catching the words that you're saying to yourself. Say things that are lovely, say things that are sweet, say things that you would love someone else to say to you.
Yeah.
Why do
No,
we
absolutely.
why
Yeah.
do we expect someone else to tell us these beautiful things, but we're not saying it to ourselves? Get in the habit, start saying these things to yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, affirmations are such a strong, a strong exercise to really change your psyche, to change, to reframe, rewire that brain, that thinking. One of my favorite affirmations is again Kenneth Soares on Insight Timer, but he has "I am grateful" one, and I listen to this all the time. It has like drum jungle beats,
I
and
love
I'm
that
like
one.
walking my dog, and it's just like, I am perfect health. Thank you, my brain. Thank you, every cell in my body. Like,
Yes.
and you go through this long 20-minute list. And honestly, since I've been doing this, and I've been doing this for quite some time, since COVID, before COVID, I have not really gotten sick. My immune system stays strong just from these types of course I do other things to keep my health up,
Yeah.
but my immune system in general, and I used to get sick all the time. I used to get sick all the time, and now I rarely get sick.
Think about what you're saying, right? When we have thoughts that are stressful, scary, fearful, the doomsday thinking and stuff like that, our nervous system becomes activated, right? We've got this little tiny brain, part of a brain inside of our brain called the reptilian brain, right? It's the amygdala. And it's literally designed to keep us alive, basically. And so there's that whole fight, flight, freeze. We all know about that. There's a lot of information out there, which is awesome. But think about it. When you were living before with a lot of nervous energy, your
Hmm.
body pumps cortisol, it pumps adrenaline. It's like, and we're not really designed to live in that state for days, months, years. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be activated if we're being chased. It's supposed to be activated if we feel scared or threatened. That's when that's supposed to happen. But so many people, with their languaging and the words that they're using, are scaring themselves. And so this part of our brain is just activated a lot.
It's all connected, and it goes
All connected.
into the dis-ease, like
Mhm.
dis-ease,
Yeah.
which goes
Yeah.
into Louise Hay and her teachings and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that this kind of self talk of I am love, I am all of the things like you were saying. It's just so important, and the sooner that somebody can kind of transform the negative into positive talking, it's they're going to see immediate changes, immediate, like within a week to 2 weeks, you're going to see completely different, like how your day went, how
Yeah.
you did find the parking spot, how you
Hmm.
did, how Starbucks line on your way to work went really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like those little things. It's weird, but you'll find them. And then even when it doesn't go quickly, you just have to laugh about it. All right, we got this, you know?
I love that, and you can even take it further and go, okay, I got stuck in this traffic, and you can get pissed off and fight it and have all kinds of cuss words and irritation and see, this is why I hate Mondays. Ah, you never know that you being stuck in that traffic could have saved you from a potential something. You know what I mean? It's like
Totally.
we have no idea. So you want to just kind of take a few deep breaths and say, hey, I appreciate always being protected. Who
Yeah,
knows what's happening, or why it's happening,
100%.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that the power of words is something that if this interests you, just try it. Just try it and see what
Yeah.
happens, because it's changed my life. So,
I would just say try stuff that's small, so you're not like, I have a client that her mantra is, I always find the best parking. And it's literally not even through the work I've done. This is just something that everyone knows about her. She knows it. She owns it. I was out in LA visiting them, and sure enough, in a really, really, really popular part of town. Oops, sorry, that's my pup. She found parking like right at the front. Like it was like no parking, and boom, she found parking straight away. So even if you start with something that feels a little bit more reasonable, or something, you just be playful with it. That's another thing about words. Be creative. Be playful. You don't have to say the same shit that you've been saying year after year after year. Like, get creative. Like, I don't want to be lonely. How many times have you said that? Get creative. I am excited for the day that I find my person.
I am
I am
so ready
really.
for the day that I find my person. I'm so ready for love. I am ready for love.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
heart is open. All of those positive things. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
again, this has been such a pleasure talking to you, and I'm
Aw,
so grateful for your expertise and your
thank
wisdom,
you.
and thank you for sharing this and your time. And I look forward to many more. I think that we have a lot of these little goodies to kind of talk about and go over. So everybody, you will be hearing from Danielle again, as long as if she is if she will grace us with her presence.
Aw, I'm in. I'm in.
Okay,
Listen,
good.
any platform, anywhere, any mountaintop we can stand on top of, that we can absolutely share some kind of something with someone that's positive, man, I'm in. So if
Yeah,
anyone listens to this and they just got one little nugget, that's success.
yeah,
That's
I
success.
agree. I
So thank you
agree.
for having me. I
Of
appreciate it.
course. I mean, we are, like we're all here growing and evolving. I'm in a healing journey right now. So I think that if anybody else is going through some healing, heartbreak or anything like that, what we talked about today, please exercise it, because it is part of my daily journey. It has been through all of my breakup and my healing. And it definitely helps, changing your story is a big one. Just keep that in your back pocket. You can
Yes,
change your story at any moment of the day. You don't
that's
like
right.
what's happening, change your story.
That's
So,
right.
all
And
right.
you
Well,
know
I
what?
love you.
This is like a to
Yeah,
be continued anyway, because
absolutely. Absolutely. I love you so much. I really appreciate you. And we will talk very, very
do you
soon.
see that?
Okay. I
It's so
do. I
good.
see all those beautiful hearts that your new computer is able to do. Mine won't do it. I was like, oh, what? What? All right. Hang tight
Well,
there,
thank
okay?
you.
All right. All right.
Bye.